Hello, this is Jürgen Reuter, founder of Ocean Quest. I have the pleasure to continue from Luca's presentation. Fourth scenarios is about detoxification. As you know from my Gotieno, they are starting already a detoxification of the water plant. And this makes, of course, most sense since the scope is not too big and the costs are affordable. Of course, according to today's technology, it would be also possible to scale it up and to clean whole rivers, in a few years the whole Lake Victoria. But of course, you can imagine, this requires big plants and the costs are enormous. So we will show you in a few minutes a very nice biological alternative, which takes maybe a few years more, but is almost for free. It's about sweetwater kelp farming. So Ocean Quest in general is carrying out one of the biggest kelp projects in the world in South Africa, South America and Australia, and also throughout the ocean plateaus direction Antarctica. This is also possible in sweetwater areas and lakes with special algae which are growing in lakes and sweetwater. The nice thing for an algae is that it can be used as food, also for fine restaurants in Japan as a very special salad. Then there is a possibility to use it for pharmaceuticals and also bad quality more as a fertilizer. But what a lot of people do not know is that algae are filtering also a lot of toxins out of the lake and the oceans. And when you grow a big sweetwater kelp forest in specific areas from Lake Victoria, you can filter the toxins over years out of the lake with actually almost no cost. The costs, of course, for us when doing it are the license costs from Kenya, Uganda, or Tanzania. However, if it's done by the government, by you, by the officials, so of course these license costs probably are not really valid. What you need to calculate are costs for certain greenhouses to grow the small kelp plants, some laboratories, some tools, and of course experts, biologists who knows also certain illnesses for algae and the measures to heal the algae from, for example, bacteria or viruses. As a add-on, you can even generate money with kelp by getting carbon certificates. Kelp is the most or fastest growing plant in the ocean, and it can grow almost half a meter per day. And one kelp, in the ocean at least, with 1 ton, can absorb 70 to 80% carbon dioxide in its cells. So carbon certificates are traded in official markets, and today you can calculate about $30 in the average per ton of carbon dioxide, which is absorbed by kelp and also then used for long-term storage. Last but not least, as you might know, so we are not only engaged in environmental projects, but also in cleaning robots for oceans, but also for big lakes. Here you can see a prototype for a big cleaning robot for a lake, which has 2 big hulls, and depending on the request of the customer, a length of 2 up to 6 meters and a width of also between 2 and 4 meters. There is a special box in the middle for all the electronics and remote devices, and also for the engine and lithium battery. In case of Lake Victoria, we would use a more simple version, including a diesel engine, since we think Africans are world champions in providing certain technology, and diesel engines are available everywhere, whereas lithium batteries, of course, are difficult to procure, also in Europe, by the way. So this cleaning robot, the advantages, of course, it's doing its job 7 to 24 hours. And we assume with a fleet between 18 and 22, 23 robots, the whole Lake Victoria could be cleaned within about 2 or 3 years. And the costs are not so tremendous. So we think for a remote controlled vehicle between 35 and 50,000 US dollars. Remote means that there's a pilot on the land with virtual reality glasses and a remote control for the robot. So the pilot on the land sees exactly with his eyes what the robot sees, and the range is today far enough for the Lake Victoria. And of course it can be also developed as an autonomous vehicle, but then the costs are significantly higher. Why us? So you heard from Lucas and myself some suggestions. What we're doing is usually a first local insight and consulting. So we come to the country, make an analysis of 2, 3, 4 weeks, go with the local partner to the various places which are important, and then we start with the partner pilot project with the intention to hand it over. So we do not want to make anybody dependent on our services. So we are there to help you, to hand over our knowledge, sometimes also to build up a shipyard or a laboratory for the kelp, and then train local people and hand it over. So you would have then the best benefit out of the project. Request for funding. So as an initial starting point, we need at least 5,000 US dollars. And as you heard from Lucas, 20,000 for a small pilot project, depending on what you want to do and what you are preferring. Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure not to be here. Unfortunately, I'm not right in Kenya. So I hope I will be in Kenya in October, November this year, and to carry out certain presentations then on site. So in the meanwhile, I wish you good luck and the best success together with Mike Coutinho and his NGO.